Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the Tooele County Commissioners meeting this night. We would like to begin by having a pledge of allegiance led by Shirley Beaton. Please stand, Mr. President. Thank you, Shirley. We'll now have item number 2, our roll.
They also decided that the situation of the track operation is a top priority for them, and they wish to preserve local jobs and businesses around the track and push that protocol tax revenues decided that the appointment to field all the offers and prospective buyers. One of the issues that they mentioned as well is the value of the property that the commissioners do at the time of this process. Back in 2010, Millers filed a tax contesting the value of the property. And at that time, an appraisal was performed. And the appraisal was set by Miller Motorpark, which is the property is valued at $18,850,000. The county believed it was worth more than that. Negotiations ensued, and the county and Millers settled on a value of $27 million for a 3-year period. So that valuation is numbers from out. That's the negotiated. Millers filed a second tax bill in 2014, essentially arguing that the property continued to be valued based upon buildings, deteriorating traffic, etc. At that time, they were arguing that they believed the track was worth less than $10 million at that time. Millers decided to withdraw that appeal, shortly after they decided to terminate the lease. So, although an appraisal had not been completed by the county at this time, the county had a general idea of what the property value was. Maybe $10 million, maybe as high as 25. It's going to be in that neighborhood. So, what's next? The commissioners began trying to figure out what to do with the property, trying to look at tax recommendations. The commission bill talks about anyway, so the deadline was set by the commissioners, July 31st, to make a decision on the sale. The reason for that deadline is because what's called a Ford performance right. Ford's driving school, their lease was set to expire at the end of July. And this driving school provided a significant revenue to the track. All potential buyers reached for these driving schools because of such a large increase, and they felt it was essential. So with this in mind, the commissioners set a deadline for full completion of July 23rd, looking at the FDA agency by July 21st. By July 23rd, the whole group decided that my time and Center Point were fully July 29th, my time made its final and formal offer. They offered $20 million cash, plus all improvements and expansion and operations of the Miller Motorpark. As we also talked about today, is also as part of the memorandum of understanding that was signed weeks ago. The commissioners met on July 30th, and we set a point. And at that time, they made an offer of $18.75 million. Now, Centerpoint's plan was to develop a track similar to what we call the North American Tooele racetrack. That's kind of their model, essentially to have a track at the center of the housing development, something that's educational type development, and how the track is kind of something like playing with the analogy of last year, California, I think of country clubs and golf course communities surrounding the golf course. All the homes, vacation homes surrounding it, housing development projects around it. Right now, the golf course and the track is center. Now, that's a simplification of their proposal. That's going to change. After some discussions about this offer and their plans, some finance information again here that day. At the second meeting, Centerpoint then presented $22.5 million. The commissioners decided at that point that they needed one more time to think about it. The deadline was the next day, and set a real fire. Set a vote following July 1st. And this is summer. I think starting with these two offers. On the morning of the 31st, the commissioners talked to some of the economic development advisors that had previously sent information to Randy Sands, who was the economic development director, as well as to the city. And we reviewed those proposals overnight. Commissioners called Randy Sands in the morning and talked with him. And this was very oral recommendations at that time. Without getting too lengthy, essentially recommended that both options was the better proposal. I'll just call a few things that he said in his recommendations. It's important to make part of this record and we'll get into the progress on all of these things. He basically stated two things. Number one, he stated that the proposal included testing the current facility and adding improvements to the existing facility that would enhance the racing component of the facility. This is the primary use of the facility. Number two, the proposal appeared not to require enhanced uses and investments in order to be successful. The proposal was to enhance the existing use and not manage its use of development in order to be successful. Number three, the proposal requires the manufacturing component, in my opinion, that might require long-term jobs for the county. Number four, the proposal does not require rezone in order to conform to the development proposed. A rezone may be difficult for things on county, but if the grant of the city would require the approval rezone. And finally, number five, uses proposed in the maritime facility are more in line with our goals for the development of the surrounding property. We have indicated that the park to the east is a primary property for marketing, manufacturing, distribution, and warehousing. I have a concern that in housing development in this area may have issues and concerns with regards to future development of the city parcels. Commissioners also called the CEO's office, I just called him. Likewise, talked to them about their views as well. After gathering all this information and all the opinions and all the information that they learned, the commissioners then decided to present their final offer. I called Alan Wilson that morning and gave him that they were accepting my final offer. The commissioners then met with Centerpoint at 11 o'clock that day and formally declined his offer. Now, the next step was how we got to take this offer and put it into some form of writing. At that point, we began public hearing was on August 17th. We took the public comment, and at that time, we could sign it and understand.
To do that, we create a tourist welcome center within the hotel design. The hotel will serve, obviously American, but you will see Chinese signs everywhere, and they'll serve Chinese food the way they eat it in China, simply to make them comfortable. When they get here, we will help them determine what their tourism routes are, where they want to go. We'll provide services that put them on bus tours, that enable them to go down to Moab or to Yellowstone or to visit Vegas. But the bottom line is that they'll be able to use the UMC campus as a base. And if they have an accident or they run out of money or somebody steals their wallet, they'll have a 24-hour Chinese-speaking reference point at the facility to turn to for help. So that's an essential part of making this a viable entry point. Above that, when they come, they'll be able to drive cars, they'll be able to be driven faster around the track by pro drivers, they'll be able to drive cars, including single-seaters, which is not available anywhere else in America at that time. It's a whole different program. And they will generally be able to be entertained in a way that they can't be entertained anywhere else in the world today. And they're looking for excitement. Most of the tourists are young, they've got money, they're looking far more than, they're looking to look at all the temple. That's one of the primary goals for coming here. They also want excitement, and we can offer it. So that's all part of the program. We're also putting together a single-seater program. For those of you who are racing, Formula 4 has now been introduced to America. It is an entry-level race series that features brand new types of cars. We will be buying a number of those cars. We will have a race series that incorporates into our NASA race program for people who race Formula 4. And our single-seater school will focus on teaching people not only to drive the cars, but to drive them faster, and experienced drivers to drive them even faster still. And that will all happen as part of the program at Miller. Given that we are already close to 80% capacity on the track, we intend changing the structure of how we operate the track from a single-day session into 3 sessions, a morning session, an afternoon, and an evening session. Okay, so that will add a third more capacity. Okay, now obviously with noise a factor in the community, the types of racing and the type of activity then in the evening will be decided based on that. So we have a lot of things. One of the key things right at the beginning is that this track, which was built, was one of the top tracks in the world. Won the award for the best track of the year in 2006. Since then, it has fallen behind international standards. We will invest immediately in the region of $8 to $9 million in upgrades. We are new to the community. Yes, it is a Chinese company, but it's an international company that already, a partner of the group, within the group, owns Volvo. Okay? A dedicated Swedish company. And it is not a communist business. In fact, it's probably more capitalistic than many of the companies we work for here. Okay, it's privately owned. It's extremely well funded. Last year they did $24.7 billion in revenue in just one element of the company. Okay, and the final thing is that Maitai owns 7 major universities in China and 20 colleges. They want to extend the education program, that they already have a program between some of their universities in Kentucky and Florida universities where people do a 2x2, 2 years at one, 2 at the other as part of the graduate training. They want to extend that to a Utah university. We haven't talked to anyone yet because there's all a lot to do. Where we want to feature high-tech automotive engineering, because Yili University in Beijing is the #1 university in China that feeds qualified people into the automotive industry. And they want to extend those programs that will eventually reach full degree programs. We'll start off by interacting with regional technical colleges, local schools, but ultimately it will build up so that we are essentially running a full degree program for people who want to learn advanced automotive technology. So those are all plans that are in place. They will happen. Some of them will happen in 5-6 years' time. Some of them will start happening the day we take possession of this facility. So I hope that gives an overview of who we are and why we are. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Offering us a trade.
And some seats here in the front row, wherever you feel comfortable.
Please identify yourself and speak slowly. You're being recorded.
I'll try.
Thank you.
My name is Nate Herscher, and I am an appraiser at J. Philip Cook LLC. I'm a state certified general appraiser and have been appraising for 8 years now. Our firm specializes in appraisals of complex properties, similar to the Miller Motorpark. So, I'm not going to go into detail discussing the property. I'm sure the vast majority of you here are well acquainted with it. I will discuss briefly just some appraisal concepts that guided us in our appraisal. Based on appraisal theory, there are 3 approaches to establishing market value. The first of which is the cost approach, in which you analyze what it would cost to construct said property. In the case of Miller Motorpark, it's been well established and documented that the property is significantly overbuilt for the area and suffers from a significant amount of obsolescence. In short, we did not apply the cost approach in our valuation. Another approach is the income approach, in which you analyze the money generated from the property to establish market value. Once again, in the case of Miller Motorpark, it's been documented that the property has lost large amounts of money since opening and is projected under the previous business plan to continue to do so. Therefore, we did not use the income approach to value in valuing the subject. So lastly, the third approach which we did utilize is the sales comparison approach, in which you take comparable sales and adjust them and apply them and analyze them compared to the subject. So just like what you would do, or what an appraiser would do if they did an appraisal on your home, they would go out into the marketplace and search for comparable sales. It's no different from what we did in trying to establish market value for the Miller Motorpark. We researched the entire U.S. for sales of similar motorsports parks and racetracks. Here's a quick map of the sales that we deemed comparable, and as you can see, the majority of the sales utilized are in the southeast region of the U.S. because, coincidentally, that's where racing is most popular. This is a table, just after we've gathered our comparable sales and and gathered information on them. We then analyze them and compare them to the subject property. We compare them based on different characteristics, the first of which being transactional characteristics, meaning when did the sale take place, were the buyer and seller related, things of that nature. Other characteristics are location. As with all types of real estate, location of a motor sports park has a great impact on value. And lastly, physical characteristics, such as size, age, things like that. So in short, here's the sales that we deemed comparable, and sales number 1 and number 5 we deemed the most similar to the subject property. And these, so sales 1 and 5, they suggest a market value between $8 and $9 million. And all things considered, we ultimately concluded a market value of $9 million. Now I know what you're all thinking. How could the property be worth less than offers to purchase the property? And in short, offers to purchase a property do not necessarily coincide with market value. As with other items that are purchased for above their worth, there's different motivations that can exist. And so really to understand whether an offer is representative of market value, you need to analyze those offers. So we looked at both the My Time and the Centerpoint offer. In short, the My Time offer at $20 million has been discussed. Their plans, as was greatly outlined by Mr. Wilson, was to expand the current use of the property for their own business operations. They weren't necessarily buying the property as it currently was, but had its own additional business considerations. This is similar to an own investment value and is not consistent with market value. Simple example of this is if you have a company that is acquiring another company, and that company is a publicly traded company, and its stock is publicly exchanged on the open market. Typically, the acquiring company is paying a price per share greater than what the target company's price is currently trading for in the open market. That's in part due to this additional investment value, this additional consideration due to expanding their business operations, gaining synergies, learning things like that. So in our opinion, the My Time offer is not consistent with market value. The other offer is the Centerpoint Management LLC offer. This offer at $22.5 million, as discussed, was also to include a mixed-use development around the track. And part of this offer, Centerpoint requested that a zoning change and density allowances would be conceded by the county to allow for this planned development. Now, this also is not reflective of the current use of the property. That they were looking to purchase something that didn't currently exist and therefore does not match up with what the market value of the property is. I apologize for this next example, but I have small kids and it kind of makes sense. When you have small kids, you watch a lot of children's movies. In the Disney movie Up, the old man was approached by the developer to purchase his house at multiples of what the market would bear because the developer, not because the developer really wanted the brightly colored house, but because they wanted to change the house to a different use. That is more consistent of what the Centerpoint offer was. They're looking to change the use of the property and therefore it's not reflective of market value. In short, these two offers did not change our opinion of market value, and we still conclude market value at $9 million. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Benjamin Becker. I'm a representative of Zions Bank, public finance group of Zions Bank. Thanks for letting me be here. And I will do my best not to overload you with numbers, but I do realize that if you are here, you obviously are concerned about the impact of this on Tooele County. And so I will do my best to show you what we at Zions Bank, we looked at the present benefits of the purchase offer from my town. What Nate so well explained there was the current value of the real estate. And my role in doing this was looking at the present benefits of what kind of impact this purchase from my town is going to have on the on Tooele County. So the first thing is just looking over, and Mr. Wilson talked about several of these things very well, so I'll go over this quickly, but are the future benefits of the My Time proposal. Construction of race ovals, construction of a quarter-mile infield track, the heavy-duty garages, an indoor activity area, construction of a drag strip, hotels, classrooms, manufacturing, industrial facilities. These are all things that Mr. Wilson explained that are considered future benefits of the My Time proposal. My purpose was to look more at what we consider present benefits that have a real and existing quantifiable value in its current time. Primarily, present benefits to Tooele County can be measured by increases in property taxes, employment gains, and events which lead to increased sales tax dollars through tourism. So we have a report that is, you can all look at online, is available to the public, that highlights present and near-term impacts of the My Time purchase. As Mr. Wilson said, approximately $9.9 million is committed in near-term expenses for track maintenance and upgrades, as well as facility improvements and enhancements. These are improvements that are necessary in order to realize the schedule that has been planned for the upcoming years. They're enhancements that not only deal with safety, but also overall improvement to attract different users to the track. Also, we looked at the continuation of the current race events, including adding international events based on the proposed improvements. Mr. Wilson talked about this as well. And then the retention of existing jobs at the track, as well as with the Ford Motor School, garages, etc. And then we also looked at the importance of a continued race schedule with local hotels and retailers. So that's a lot of numbers there, but this is just a breakout of the near term, the committed $9.9 million in costs. And it's all within a report that's online if you're unable to see that. But it includes things like replacing the screens, adding grandstands, replacing the tented area with permanent roofing. We looked at those improvements and decided, based on experience that we have experience in the other in the race world, what of those improvements would add measurable value currently to a buyer if a buyer were to come in and take a look at the property. And some of the things we felt like, while they will allow for future events, they may not have a dollar value to future buyers. And essentially, it whittled down in our report to a $5.5 million. Some of these include the car assembly facility, which is a real building that would obviously have value. Tented areas with the permanent roofing, the grandstands, the screens, inspecting and repairing the track. We looked at the impact of those improvements, what would be their assessed value, how the assessor would look at it, and what that would in turn do to property taxes. And took the property tax rates that are currently existing in Tooele County for Tooele, Grantsville, the school district, and came down to what is an annual increase in taxes that Tooele County would realize based off of these improvements. Now, receiving those in 1 year is one thing, but knowing that you're going to receive them over the life of those improvements is what really adds value. So we looked at the present value, the value today of all of those payments over a certain amount of time, discounted to a value that is reflective today of the risk or the limited risk of receiving those payments. And we came up with a value between $850,000 to $900,000. A second look that we did that's in greater detail, that I won't bore you with here in the report, is the impact of the sales tax associated with revenue from the racetrack. if those races were to go away, what would be the impact to the county in terms of annual sales tax dollars? We looked at that as well as the potential of adding new races, although we didn't include any of that potential income into potential revenue. We looked at the existing, what happened last year and the previous years, historical records, and came that are secondary events related with the racetrack. We took a look at some of the basic demographic information of Tooele County, looked at percent of owner-occupied housing, what's median earnings for workers, how much these workers are putting into the local economy through purchases, buying groceries, gasoline, things like that, and came up with what we believe was the dollar impact per job for Tooele County. So essentially what this is if you have a job and you're making X number of dollars a year, there's a certain percentage of you that are also homeowners based on overall Tooele County demographics. Those homeowners are paying property taxes. Regardless if you're a homeowner or a renter, you are buying goods and commodities within the community, and therefore the county from that is receiving sales tax dollars. We looked at the impact of that, of retaining what we have been told and understand the jobs that my time is. What is the average annual revenue per room from Miller Motorpark? And the hotels, they keep this information. They know who their occupants are, they know who are renting rooms. We looked at total number of dollars per year, what that was for the whole entire, for those 4 hotels, and then what's the total transient room tax that the county receives from those hotels. As you probably know, when you go to get a hotel room, it's not $89, it ends up being like $115 because there are all these taxes that the county and other entities receive. Well, we looked at what the impact, if you were not having those impacts, you come to a sum of roughly $3 million. This essentially represents the present benefits associated with the My Time offer. So, from a county perspective, if you're looking at this purchase of $20 million, you're also, much like the conversations they probably had with their economic advisors, you're also realizing that there is additional here, an additional sum that is a benefit to the county. And that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much.
I just want to make one final comment before we open up for the public hearing. The reports that have been referenced by Zions Bank, by our appraiser, and by Randy Sant, they are not yet on the website, but they will be uploaded tomorrow. So if you want to see them, you'll be able to see them on the county website or on the public notice website. And also, in addition to that, if the commissioners approve the purchase agreement this evening, that document.
The Miller Motorsports County property.
Serve and that serve us. We have multiple race shops at the track and other places. Salt Lake, Ogden, Provo. We have most of them stay in hotels locally. To lose the track would be a huge detriment. I think the Zions Bank presentation showed it very well. It's a huge detriment to the whole county, and I think it would be reflected or would show itself in ways we don't even know at this point. I personally support the My Time agreement. I think it's got long-term benefits and long-term stability behind it, and it looks like I'm out of time. So thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Dave was a great lead-in. Troy Duffin, I'm an amateur racer at the track. When the announcement was made by the Miller family that they were stepping aside, there was a great deal of unrest at the track. And because of that, a lot of the garage tenants, of which I am one, formed a loose association in order to gather information about our issues and concerns, relate those back to whoever would be our new landlord, and learn from them as to what was going on. Again, a lot of concern at that point as to what would happen, because this represents a lot of businesses, a lot of individuals whose not only livelihood rely on this, but frankly our enjoyment. and we were worried about where we would have to go next if this wasn't going to continue. With the My Time announcement came a lot of comfort, and we're hoping that comfort will continue because it provides a lot of consistency out there and hopefully, again, continuing business opportunities. In that regard, when this association was formed, there was a meeting held, and amongst the members who showed up, there was a vote, and I was elected association representative along with co-representative Ian Lacey. Recently, we asked a few of the members of the association, these are garage tenants, business owners, and other supporters, sponsors, if they would support this letter. And I have a letter to provide the commissioners. It's very brief, so I'll read it into the record. Dear Commissioners, we, the undersigned team garage tenants, business owners, and team sponsors at Miller Motorsports Park, hereby affirm our support for the sale of the park to My Time Investment and Development Group. In addition to our personal interests, the continuing viability of our AppTrack businesses will be best served by a smooth and speedy transition of ownership to My Time, whose operations and development plan provides the best scenario for a promising and profitable future. We hope this transaction can be completed promptly. Several of the signatories are here in the audience, and I might go out on a limb and say and ask the audience if there are any garage tenants or business owners out there who did not sign this letter. Are you not in support of what I just read into the record? I see none. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you, Troy.
My name is Lois MacArthur. I'm a former Tooele County Commissioner, and one of the problems that we've had with the county for as long as I can remember, and I've been here a long time, is the problem with a tourism destination. And we have gone all different ways trying to promote the trails and the things like that. But I would really like to see the Motorsports Park go to this company who can really enlarge on it, and for the tourism aspect. I'm not a race fan one way or the other, so others would have to speak to that. But for the tourism part, I'm completely in favor of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Lois.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Hello, my name is Frank Bott, and I own a local business. All of my customers are international or national. It's a visual production company. When I chose to move to Tooele County a little over a year ago, the number one reason was the Miller Motorsports Park. All of my customers, such as Olean's, DuPont Registry, all said that that was a fantastic choice, a fantastic racetrack. Since then, we've been here for about a year. The pictures, the video, anything that I've done, due to my going out there and shooting it, has had a view count of over 1.2 million around the world that has promoted the racetrack. So one of the things that Zions did not point out was the enormous internet presence that a company like mine has brought to the racetrack, to Tooele County. There's hundreds and thousands of people now who know about Tooele County that have never heard of it before I showed up. And I want to first thank John Wilson for his enormous amount of work, for the trust that My Time is placing into the county and to those of us who live here and work here, and thank the county for everything they're doing. I was devastated because, of course, I put an enormous amount of my own personal money in putting the business back into Tooele County. I also want to thank Chris Sloan for everything he did to help me build the business here. But it's been an extreme success. I've had a 30% increase in sales revenue, primarily because, again, of Miller Motorsports Park. So what UMC is going to do is extremely positive, and I'm very excited. I want to thank everyone for their hard work.
Thanks,
My name is Andy Blunt. My professional life, I'm a commercial real estate broker with CBRE. For fun, I'm a pretty terrible motorcycle racer. But I just wanted to make a comment on the value of the My Time offer, specifically regarding that it's a point I was going to make, and you mentioned that Randy Sant addressed that in his comments to you, not having to rezone the property. I have had a number of deals get down to the last minute and the rezoning not come through, and the deal just doesn't happen. And if this purchase or sale were to get down to the wire and fall apart at the last minute, as the discussion of the revenues would be lost, the value of the property would just devastate the entire community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Chris Sloan. I have the honor of serving as the chairman of the board for the Tooele County Chamber of Commerce. And, sorry. I also would like to stand in support of the motion you're going to be making shortly for a couple of reasons. From a business standpoint, those that I represent, stability, and as Mr. Bott mentioned, people that have poured their life savings into this community, into this endeavor. It means everything to have the continuity and stability that this deal promises. As a local resident and a realtor that works here full-time, I've raised my kids and my grandkids here. Again, stability, and cash is wonderful, and the extra couple of $1 million up front would have been nice. That said, I applaud the commissioners for looking beyond the immediate cash impact that this would have on our county. Understanding how thin our skins have gotten from a financial standpoint over the last little while, it's been very easy to have a knee-jerk reaction and simply take the quickest hit of cash we could get. But I appreciate the fact that the commissioners looked out for the citizens of this county and the citizens that will be coming to this county, so that in the future they'll have something stable and serious to build for. You didn't look at just the first gift horse in the mouth. You went after something that was better for the whole community. So I applaud that and I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
My name is Alan Anderson, and I'm a resident of Salt Lake City. I'm an amateur racer, and prior to Miller Motorpark being opened, I had only been to Tooele twice. I had no reason to come out here. I now come out on average 20 days a year to race, in addition to coming out all winter to work on my car at the garage. When I come out for race weekends, I always stop for gas in Tooele. I go to Rio for dinner. If things don't go well, I go to AutoZone. I think that the financial impact of all of this is much greater than just the numbers out of the track. I do also rent a garage out there. I have all my fees out there. I'm not a wealthy person. I'm just kind of an average person. But when I come out, family members come out, 4 or 5 sometimes. They stop in Tooele and have food and gas. I think there's a really, really big financial impact there. Sorry, got notes here. I think Larry Wilson had a great vision, and I thank him for building the track. It's been a dream come true for me. The biggest vision was choosing Alan Wilson to build that track. This was the realization of a great vision of his, and I don't think that there's anybody better to take it forward from here. And the last small point is that history has proven that residential use and racetrack use do not combine. Many racetracks in the United States and the world have been closed from noise complaints related to proximity to racetracks. So I think that the other offer was flawed from the beginning. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Matt Guyver with NASA Utah. I'm one of the 3 principals Dave Kazari mentioned earlier. First thing I want to say is Alan Anderson is a longtime friend and far from average. I think that's important to get on record. One of the things I really liked about the My Time proposal is that it advocates club racing. I've been around private tracks before. They don't host club racing, and my events bring anywhere from 150 to 200 participants into Tooele on any given weekend. We run 7 to 8 weekends a year, and they spend money here. They form an active community. Part of that's what I referenced when I talked about Alan being far from average. None of our competitors are average people. they're all far above average regardless of what they do for a living in life. So I think it's important to just touch base on the community that we've built and how important they are to fostering a family atmosphere of growth within that community. So, you know, NASA Utah has 750 plus members. You know, we really look at drawing people from all over the Western Hemisphere, as Dave talked about before. We've got people that have bought homes here in Tooele exclusively for the racetrack. You know, they've all talked about what they're going to do in the event that this transaction is held up for a year, because without a 2016 season, because of whatever delays might occur, they're going to move on, and that's going to be devastating to the NASA Utah region. We can't afford to operate at a lower capacity than what we spent 10 years developing. So, you know, I really just wanted to touch base. A private entity and a private track isn't generally conducive to a club atmosphere and that family environment that we've worked hard to build, and it will have a direct impact on our road racing community, as well as the Tooele community that the road racing community chooses to spend its time on these weekends. That's all, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm short, let me pick up the microphone. So, my name is Ivan Utrera. I'm the president and founder of Rodizio Grill. It's an 18-unit chain that we operate nationwide. And we've been, well, there's a very important point that I think Zions Bank missed, and it's important to add to the discussion, which is the sponsorship side. I've been a racer myself since the beginning, since the Black Rock days. I've been on a 2-year hiatus because I'm supporting Bruno, so all my money goes to Bruno to help him race. But aside from that, I've sponsored Bruno and a couple other races, and I've also sponsored events. I think the sponsorship component has not been brought up yet. It may be figured, some of it may be figured into Mr. Wilson's budget, but there's a lot of people here that get sponsorship money. Just myself or my company, we've spent over $100,000, you know, since the time the track has been open in sponsorship money, and that money didn't go to the track. That money went to the racer, who's buying tires, who's mounting tires, who is getting parts because he just crashed. That money is also supporting the local economy. That money has not been figured in, and that's in the millions. If you add everybody here, that's in the millions, and please consider that. That's my point number one. And along with that, it goes to point number two, which is I also believe Centerpoint's approach is flawed, because not at any point, at least I haven't heard from any of my colleagues here, that Centerpoint has approached any of us, whether racers or tenants or sponsors or anybody, for a continued relationship. And Mr. Wilson, on the contrary, has involved every single one of us, even asking for my help in consulting on the food service side. What are we going to do with the track? I don't have any contract. It was just purely volunteer because I respect his work. And so he has shown tremendous commitment to us, to everybody that's involved with the track, and where we haven't seen that from the other party. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rob Lentz. I've been a 17-year resident of Utah. I do not live in Tooele County, and I have a user's perspective. I've been bringing my family to Miller Motorsports Park since it first opened to spectate and watch events. About a year ago, I came to spectate a NASA event, and I was very, very, very impressed with the facility. It's a wonderful racetrack, and even more so with how many different groups were using the track, how many different clubs. I am a new club member with NASA. Because of what I saw, I bought a car, and now this season I've been out 12 times to the track. The hook's been put in my mouth and probably set. I plan to come more in the future. It's a wonderful facility. I was really dismayed when I heard that it might close and go away, because if the track became a private facility or something other than a racetrack, I wouldn't come out to Tooele County. Having listened to Mr. Wilson, I'm very excited about his proposal, or my time's proposal. It sounds wonderful, not only just for me personally, but it's a long-term vision and it seems quite viable. Puts Utah on the map, links us with China. It's almost too good to be true. So I applaud you for considering the lower offer, but looking long-term vision-wise as to what this could bring to Tooele County and Utah in the future, and I fully support the My Time proposal. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Hello, my name is Roger Bennett, and I'm a member, or I live in Taylorsville, Utah. And I've been involved with motorcycle racing since 1987. And one thing I think nobody has mentioned is the educational opportunities to get, in particular, motorcycles out of the canyons. I personally experienced a rider that went through one of our schools once with Utah Sport Bike Association, whose mother came to me and thanked me for getting her son to quit riding the canyons and providing him the skills and the opportunity to play on a racetrack where it's much safer. And the side benefit of having a racetrack is it changes your riding mindset. When you do street ride, you realize it's so silly to go out there and put yourself at risk in dangerous riding conditions. So education to me is something that we as a group have done for over 20 years. The school, the Ford School, is excellent, and I think you don't want to undersell that education potential for better, safer drivers and riders. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Hal McConnell. Lois MacArthur is my wife. When she was county commissioner and they brought the Miller Sports Park to Tooele County, I was really excited because I'm a car guy and I like racing. I don't think that Larry Miller brought that to Tooele County to become what you might say is a water feature in the middle of a housing area. He brought that to Tooele County for the purpose of developing something that Tooele County and Utah could have to be on the map, to enjoy, to build an economy for Tooele County. And it was a dream of his. Now, for some housing outfit to come in and just set up this as their private racetrack and cause more havoc with Tooele County by building houses, which affects the water and also affects the traffic and plugs up Tooele County and Tooele City with more housing, more people. And to me, that just seems like they're self-centered, and if they would like to do something like that, they need to go to Park City to where that type of thing would fit and stay there, but don't come to Tooele County. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. Are there any more public comments? If not, I will entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to close the public hearing, seeing no one else come forward.
I'll second your motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 4 is a purchase and sale agreement with My Time Utah Investment LLC for the property known as the Miller Motorsports Park.
there any discussion?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I think my microphone's causing some feedback. Well, as I've had an opportunity to share with the two of you, I attended a tourism conference for the state last week, and it was uncanny the common thread throughout regarding just tourism. And as we've heard tonight from Mr. Wilson, this is only a portion of my time's perspective with the purchase of this particular property. But the common thread throughout the several days of the conference was the rise of Chinese tourism. And there were a lot of very impressive statistics given. One thing that we have spoken about in the negotiations with both parties and nothing. And this, no matter how you look at it, Miller Motorsports has been a gift to Tooele County. And the fact that this element has played out the way that it has is a gift to Tooele County government and our citizens, because certainly we never needed to be in the middle of this transaction. It could have played out very differently. And through this opportunity, regardless of the fact that we've got some legal considerations beyond the scope of just tonight's vote, the fact that these companies and others, albeit much lower offers, provided these proposals shows the passion that Larry had and Mr. Wilson working with him to place this facility in the middle of our county is a gift to us. And we heard a bunch of numbers tonight that were necessary as part of this process to quantify that. But no matter how you look at it, as Commissioner MacArthur mentioned, this is a unique opportunity to draw tourism and to be very proud of our motorsports park history. I mean, after all, we have the Bonneville Salt Flats where land speed records have been broken here in county. The tourism conference last week, the Tooele County in its entirety was promoted for the vision of this proposal.
A couple of months working on this proposal, looking at budget, and people know me, know I look at numbers a lot and try to look at our plans. I feel like this is the best offer for us, and I would go ahead and second your motion. And I really appreciate Commissioner MacArthur for her vision and those that really worked hard on putting that facility together down there. And so I'd go ahead and second the motion.
Thank you. I would also add my, if I can talk, I would also add my comment, my appreciation for the interest that each of you has had in this endeavor. For us, it's been a whirlwind, literally, of time spent, research, and everything else to come to this point where we have an opportunity to ratify or to approve of this purchase and sale agreement. Recognize that there have been a lot of groundwork, as Commissioner MacArthur did and others, to allow us the opportunity to do it. It was truly unforeseen to have this happen to us, and we are delighted to be able to maintain this premier facility. And we hope that it will continue for a long time. We have great confidence in it. And whether we recognize it or not, we are part of a global economy. And that global economy means we need to recognize that the things we do here will be reflected in another area. For example, one race that was held here attracted few people to the track, but it had 180 million viewers worldwide. Now, that is significant to us here in Tooele County. If there is no other comment or question, I call for the question. All in favor of your proposal here, please indicate.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The purchase of the Miller and sale agreement with My Time Utah Investment LLC for the property known as the Miller Motorsports Park is approved. Thank you. next item on our agenda is public concerns. Are there any public concerns that need to be expressed tonight? Please state your name, speak slowly, and you have 2 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Scott Rivera. Good evening. My name is Scott Rivera. I'm a resident of Tooele County and a representative of the Utah Sport Bike Association. First, I want to commend the Commission on the decision to approve the purchase and sale agreement. Second, I believe that I've identified Mr. Cartwright in the audience, and I call on him as a citizen of the community to drop his lawsuit. Thank you.
Are there any other public concerns or comments? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you for all for coming.